Hey guys, you're watching episode 5 of Appropriate Audiences for the fall 2013 semester. I'm your host, James Rona, and I'm here joined by Steve Boreski and Amanda Dotson. And in light of the new remake of the movie Carrie, we're going to be reviewing the original Brian De Palma movie Carrie from 1976. So guys, let's just jump right into this. Have you seen the movie before this showing? And if not, what were your first expectations? I'll start with you.
I actually haven't seen it, which is surprising because this is something that's very well known. I didn't really have too many expectations, especially it's an older movie, but it has been around for about 40 years now. So I know that the only scene that I've seen was the was the prom scene with the blood. So I knew that this was in it, but that was the only thing I knew about the movie. So interesting.
What about you?
I actually didn't know that the Carrie coming out was a remake.
Oh,
so
okay.
I was a little thrown off with that, but I don't know what I was expecting. I was just watching it with an open mind, just kind of, taking it for what it was. So, yeah.
So going off of that, what were your general thoughts about Carrie? Because neither of you have seen it. I actually haven't seen it either, and I was expecting, I'll say similar things. I mean, I wasn't expecting something great, but I mean, it is something that is so well known, so I figured it's probably going to be good. But I mean, my general thoughts were definitely that I really liked it. I mean, but that's just me. What did you think?
I thought it was, I don't want to say great. It was good.
It was good.
And again, like I said before, it's been 40 years since it's been on. So I think from then to now, the time span has definitely, I think, gotten the movie respect because it has been around for so long and people are still talking about it. We're sitting here talking about it today.
Yep.
So no, I mean, it was good. There were little things here and there that, watching it, you can definitely tell it's an older movie. Yeah. But again, it was made 40 years ago.
Exactly.
So.
How about you?
I completely agree. Going with what she said, like, it's pretty impressive that we're still talking about it. It was definitely, I felt dated watching it, but it was kind of entertaining because that was like one of the first older movies I've seen. So it was kind of funny, like, comparing and contrasting like different eras of film.
Yeah, exactly. You guys actually just answered one of my questions, so kudos to you. I was going to ask, considering how old this movie is, it came out in 1976, it's almost 40 years old. Did you feel that it was outdated, or were you still able to enjoy it saying that it was outdated, or would you say that because it was very 70s-ish, like it had a feel that you knew exactly what era this movie was made in, but did that sort of distract from the sort of enjoyment of the movie, or would you say that you liked it and you didn't really mind it that much?
No, I don't think it detracted from it. I mean, like you said, you can definitely tell that it's in the 70s era, the hair. For instance, you can definitely the styles.
That's not
very young Travolta, very young Sissy Spacek. So you can tell that it was older, but I don't think it detracted from the storyline at all. I mean, if it was made now, which it is being remade, it would still be the same. So.
Right. I definitely agree. I don't think it was taken away from it. I think there were some parts where it was like, really, like the knives flying and the shrill like horror noise where it's like, it's like. Really? But I think you just got to take it for what it was, because considering it's from the 70s. But it still, I think, didn't detract from its value.
But I mean, it was very, very 70s.
It was very 70s. I'm telling you, the hair.
Oh my God, the tuxedos.
Yes, the ruffles. Did you like those?
The puffs in their suits. I was like, oh gosh.
Yep.
All right, so going off of all that we've said so far, we're going to get into our segments here. So first off, we have Steve. And he's going to be going back out into the field with Jake Troy for the newest episode of Trailer Talk. So tell us what you're going to be talking about today.
This week we're talking about Anchorman 2.
And let's check out what they had to say.
I'm Jake.
I'm Steve.
And this week on Trailer Talk, we're going to be talking about Anchorman 2. So Steve, what do you think of the movie?
I think it looks funny. A lot of quotable moments expected from Anchorman. I personally like Steve Carell's character kind of stepping out into the limelight. Instead of the first one where Will Ferrell was like main story plot, I think it'll be cool to see where Steve Carell's character goes.
Definitely.
What do you think?
I definitely agree. I'd say that like Steve Carell's character was very he was only used in a couple scenes in the first one. So in this one, I think that they're kind of like, I hope that they focus on all the characters besides Will Ferrell. I think that it's still about him, but overall, it'll be just like funnier to see all the characters like have a moment in this movie.
So, big question is, now that it's a sequel, do you think it's going to live up to the hype or just flop?
I think it could live up to the sequel. It's definitely had enough time to have the writers write something really like funny and like similar to the first. Like I think people have been urging them like make a sequel out of this, and with the same actors. Like you know, it's like people are definitely paying attention to that. You know, like anytime a sequel like loses someone, you're like, oh, that's bad.
Right.
Like, oh, there's no way this could be as good as the first. So hopefully they keep it the same way. They don't like, you know, go too far off the track, and it's just like just as funny as the first one. What do you think?
I'm gonna sound cliched and say that sequels are very tricky. It's either a hit or miss.
Yeah.
I just hope that they didn't take all the funny parts, put them in the trailer to make you go see it, and then it's kind of like, well, now what?
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see where it goes.
And you can see it too. It's coming to theaters December 22nd. I'm Jake.
I'm Steve.
This was Trailer Talk. Back to you guys in the studio.
Well, I'll be sure to look out for that trailer after we're done here. But from a movie that I would love to see to a movie that maybe is best left for a bad movie night, here's Haley Duran and Matt McGroarty with their new segment, Notorious Netflix. What do you got for us, guys?
Hello, and welcome to Notorious Netflix, a program dedicated to showcasing some of the worst movie masterpieces Netflix has to offer. I'm Matt.
And I'm Haley.
And today, we're not going to look at a film on Netflix, but one that is hilarious nonetheless.
And that film is Riff Tracks Live, Night of the Living Dead.
For those unfamiliar with Drax Live, it's the love child of the creators of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Basically, 3 dudes talk over really old or really bad movies and make jokes, and just in time for Halloween, the Riff Tracks crew chose Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead is the progenitor of the popular culture idea of what a zombie is, and revolutionized the horror genre henceforth.
Night of the Living Dead follows 7 people as they struggle to survive the incoming zombie apocalypse and their egos.
Calling this classic film a horrible movie masterpiece, like we normally would be blasphemous. So instead, we're going to focus on the Riff Tracks version, which adds a layer of hilarity and outrageousness you typically wouldn't see in the 1968 original.
For example, my favorite part was when the Riffers mentioned beating off the zombies, because nothing gets a zombie off like a good beating.
I personally enjoyed the multitude of Carpenter jokes while the house was being boarded up to protect from the zombies, because we all need a movie with 10 minutes of solid cinema carpentry gold.
And let's not forget how Ben had been continuously rejecting the idea of hiding in the basement, only to be forced into hiding there at the end of the film, and is now greeted by the taunting of his now dead rival with, "Welcome to the basement now,
And of course, the mocking of the mini militia formed to kill the zombies. Ain't nothing like watching a man ramble about zombies nonsensically.
All in all, Riff Tracks Live, Night of the Living Dead is a great way to see a cinema classic while ensuring younger audiences won't be bored. While not the best of the Riff Tracks Live, it's far from the worst.
Plus, who doesn't want to see a zombie getting beaten off?
I give Riff Tracks Live, Night of the Living Dead 4 beaten zombies out of 5.
And I give it 3 angry balding men out of 5.
That's all for this week's Notorious Netflix. Check us out next time for more horrible movie masterpieces.
All right, thank you so much, guys. So getting back into our talk about Carrie here, we all know that there are some of those movies that are considered to be, like, you know, timeless, and whatever era it was made in, it's still talked about. Would you say that this was one of those movies that would qualify as being timeless? Or do you think that maybe these remakes are sort of helping it out and giving it a new feel that's almost improving it? Do you know what I'm getting like at?
Yeah, I think obviously up until this point, like I said, we're still talking about it now. It has been kind of something that's a little bit timeless. With the remake, it again proves that we're still talking about it, it's still relevant, it's still something that people are interested in, and I think that's why they're making the movie again, because it's something that people like, this kind of horror.
Yeah.
I'm not sure after the remake comes out that it will be as timeless as it is now, only because there is going to be another remake. There's going to be another movie, obviously exactly like it. It's a reenactment. So time will tell to see if the original will still be as good as the remake after. So
I like that answer. All right, Steve,
Right,
what do you
I
guys
agree.
have?
I think it's definitely like a classic in its own, but the fact that they're remaking it is kind of impressive because they pick what they remake.
Yeah.
So I think it's very strategic on their part because obviously it sparked our interest in the older one, and it kind of made me more interested to see the newer one. So I think that in its own kind of made Carrie like a classic name of a movie.
And I think that this was kind of like a cheesy horror too, you know? Like,
Right.
it's not something that you would watch to genuinely be scared. I don't know what they're going to do with the new Carrie. They might, with the new technology that they have in horror movies, they might make it pretty scary.
yeah,
Only time will tell, but
the
I would
trailer seemed scarier than
Right.
the
yeah.
whole Carrie movie.
Yeah, it was
So-
sort of like a cheesy kind of horror, but I mean, I don't know if that's because of the time or because, like, how we can see like, oh,
Right.
that's so cheesy now.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, I think that the fact that it's something that you can watch almost like with your family and stuff, like it's not something that's going to scare. It might scare like a very young child, but I mean, you can watch it with your family and stuff like that, and it'll still. I think that's what gives it its timeless nature the best, because it's hard to make a horror movie that's going to be timeless.
Well, this movie was also more, I feel like, a little uneasy. I don't know necessarily if I wouldn't really categorize it as horror. I think that you felt uncomfortable with it. I mean, the mother was crazy, you know, and the things that happened to Carrie are very upsetting, I think, but I wouldn't necessarily sit there and be frightened like I would if I was watching Paranormal Activity or Insidious or something else like that. Like, the scariest part for me was her grabbing.
Yes, that was what I was
Her
going to say.
at the end was just like this, and like I jumped. That was the only time that I was scared during it.
Because it was so unexpected.
Yes.
And I'm confused about why that whole little scene was kind of weird for me. Like, the mom of the daughter is like, she's upset because Carrie died, and obviously she wasn't in on the prank. It's made aware that she was not in on it. But I don't understand why she went to the house. Like, do you think it was to pay her respects and see, like, she did have a part in this? Like, not, even though she did not plan it, her treating Carrie the way that she did beforehand. Do you think that that's sort of like to make up for it, what she did at the end?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if it were me in the same situation, you have a bit of a guilty conscience.
Yeah.
Right.
Even though you weren't necessarily the front runner, you weren't the one that was planning the attacks on her. You know, you still did take part. You didn't stop it. You know, you're guilty by association. So I think that she definitely, you know, tried and like paid her respects to kind of getting some closure before
She
before that door closes.
Yeah.
Before, you know, she gets pulled down too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think it was funny how, like, the girl that wasn't in on it the most was saved for last.
Yeah.
I feel like that was very kind of clever, but at the same time, it was like, you're guilty by association.
Right.
So.
All right, so going off of all that, do you think that there's anything else that you want to get out of your system right now, or forever hold your peace kind of thing? What else do you have to say about this movie, or do you think that we covered everything that there is to say?
Great question. I think that we covered most of it. Like I said, I mean, I'm excited to see the remake now that I've finally seen this movie, and kind of compare the two, because, you know, like I touched on before, I think that just the trailer originally already is scarier than the whole original movie. So I'm interested to see, how they correlate.
I definitely agree. How about you? Any final thoughts you want to get out?
After seeing this, I definitely want to see like what they change and what they don't in the new one. So I'm actually probably going to see it like this weekend or something. So that's just look forward to. But I felt like in this one, Carrie was kind of whiny. And I don't know. She was kind of hard to watch sometimes, but I guess maybe that was her character.
Yeah, I get where you're coming at, but I mean, I did feel bad for her. Obviously,
you feel bad for her, but it's just, I don't know.
All right. Well, your comment's your comment. So, okay, so going off of all this, there's going to be a spin-off of our last question here, okay? So, assuming that this movie is exactly the same as the one that's being released right now, would you recommend this movie to go to see in theaters, to wait for Netflix, or to skip it altogether? What's your answer?
I would probably go on Netflix and watch it. It was good, and I think that it's something that, you know, is still talked about. It's still relevant. I think that everybody should definitely see it. I'm not sure I would spend my money on it per se. So yeah, no, definitely watch it on Netflix or whatever other form you wanted to watch it on. But yeah, not sure I'd spend $8 on it.
How about you?
I agree, but I think seeing this one on Netflix, I kind of want to see the new one in theaters to like kind of, if it actually becomes a horror film or it's more of a suspense thriller like this one was.
Okay, so if the remake is exactly the same as the previous one, would you say Netflix then, because this one was Netflix?
No, I'd say theaters, just because like the surround sound, big screen, you know. I'm
just making sure I got your answer correct, and I'm gonna say Netflix. I'm gonna side with Amanda here. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was interesting, but I mean, if I'm gonna pay a lot of money to go and see it, I really want to be scared. And this was something that was it had a more creepy feel to it than a horror feel to it. But I mean, that's just me. But anyway, that's our show for this week. So I want to thank my guests Steve and Amanda for joining me one more time tonight. And please don't forget to follow us on Twitter at @APPRO_audiences, And like us on Facebook by going to facebook.com/appropriateaudiences. But that's our show for this week, so I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week, guys.